Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at the high-grade Universal Century White Rider from the PS4 and PS5 game Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation Code Fairy. As usual when it comes to a monochromatic box like this, that does mean it is a P Bandai exclusive, so that means this video right here would not have been possible without those absolutely fantastic people over at BUYEE. So if you're looking for some rare or hard to get kits or P Bandai of your own, the link is down there in the description. Now let's check it out. So before I mention anything about the high-grade White Rider right here, I might as well mention what could be obvious to some but not obvious to others. And that is, this is based on the premium Bandai exclusive from way back when, which was the Pale Rider, one of the first ever kits to be built from the ground up for premium Bandai, and Bandai have been using this mold over and over and over again for a multitude of kits, including this one. The concept behind the mold is based on the four horsemen of the apocalypse, that of course being the White Rider right here with its crown and its bow, all the way through the Red Rider, the Black Rider, and then the Pale Rider itself. All of these are equipped with something called the Hades system. This particular one has a variant called the Zeus system, and that means there are some options in the box when it comes to the colors. So I guess what I should do is rewind all the way back to the build and talk about that first. So jumping into the build of this kit, and I'm going to mention because this is a kit from a video game, I do think that this will be a little bit of an entry point for some people into the hobby, so I will talk about some of the terms and stuff in a more beginner-friendly kind of way. Now, if you are just getting into gunpla and you're looking to buy a kit that is premium Bandai rare, hard to find, and based on the Pale Rider, I suggest you might want to think twice about it. Not that it isn't a very good kit, it just isn't a very good kit for beginners or a very good representation of what gunpla is like in 2022. For example, this is based heavily on a kit from 2014. That 2014 kit is called the Pale Rider. The Pale Rider would have been a great kit back then, besides one big issue, that it is heavily color inaccurate, which means a lot of the parts are not actually molded in plastic to snap together. They come on a sticker sheet you stick on to basically fix what Bandai didn't do in plastic. Now the White Rider right here inherits a lot of parts of that original kit, just recast in white. And that does mean we've got a massive sheet of color correcting stickers in here too. But what actually shocked me a little bit is even some of the new molded parts, being the wing and the big old cannon on the shoulder, those actually are fairly color inaccurate too and need some stickers. Now we do have variants of stickers here that is for the standard mode and the other one is for the Hades or Zeus mode. So you have to choose whether to have it in normal mode or Zeus mode, but you can't have both. If you really don't care that this kit is missing a whole lot of yellow and the darker shade of gray, you could just build it like I've built it right here, which is straight built, as in I did not use any of the stickers besides the shiny ones on the head and the eyes. There are some decals in here as well. These are just little stickers you can pop on. We've got one for up on the shoulder and one for on the chest. As for the actual difficulty of the build, not including the fact that you would have to paint some parts to make it color accurate or use the stickers, it is simple enough. But once again, you're not going to get a fully accurate representation of the White Rider out of the kit if you just snap it all together without paint or stickers. However, I will mention, as a huge stickler for color separation, even without the color separation being perfect, this still looks fantastic, and the Pale Rider actually does blow me away over and over again throughout its iterations by being better when it's finished than it feels while you're building it. So I do still recommend this kit. Anyway, let's check out the looks. So anyway, jumping right on into the aesthetics, and there's that full 360-degree spin. I love the Pale Rider, and I love it even more in this format. This is such a cool mobile suit design. So we've got the general Pale Rider look, we've got some new parts changed, mainly in the chest, the skirtings, and of course, that brand new head. It's a lot broader than we'd usually see with a Gundam head. Apparently that is because this is a prototype of, well, not of, more so for the Pale Rider, and the system, which is the Hades or the Zeus system, couldn't be minimized enough to fit into a normal sized Gundam head. And that's why it has the big old antennas on top and the wide head. But there is something I saw someone post on Twitter when this was announced, and I can never, ever get it out of my head, and that is the fact that it looks like it has a whole bunch of McDonald's fries sticking out the top of its head. So I will mention that isn't present in the original design. These are meant to be quite sharp. So if you want this to be accurate to that design, you're gonna have to bust out a file and put a point on those things. But I will mention that I did say this kit is straight built for the most part. The only things that I've actually done to it is I have panelized what I call the vanity area or the thumbnail area of the kit. So that is around the shoulders, around the head, and the upper chest. So this kit does feature a whole lot of absolutely beautiful molded detail. I mean, it is crazy. So if you get this thing fully panel lined up, whether or not you paint the details or not, it's going to look incredible. By the way, this is the panel liner I used, and I'll throw a link in the description to it if you want one yourself. So yeah, if you can get past the fact that this is heavily color inaccurate, this is actually an insanely beautiful kit right here. I have the Black Rider as well, and that will be coming up sometime soon. So now jumping into the size comparisons, and there it is beside a standard 1/44th scale Gundam kit, which is the entry grade RX 78-2, and there it is beside the newest version of the high grade Zaku. Next up beside two premium Bandai exclusive Gundam high grades, that being the Modrock Gundam and the Go4. And when it comes to Gundam size, there it is beside a small Gundam being the real grade Crossbone and a big Gundam being the real grade New Gundam. Finally, there it is side by side with another Rider kit, this being the Pale Rider Cavalry. So now jumping into the accessories, and here's the high-grade White Rider with absolutely everything that it comes with. And this isn't a whole lot, but when it's rocking that prototype Shekinah up on the shoulder, or should I say waist, what else does it need? Let's check it all out. So first off, checking out what is equipped on the unit itself. First off, on the left-hand side, well, its left-hand side, we've got what is referred to in the manual as the back wings. This can fold out on some hinges just like so, and we've got an extra panel that pivots out like this. I will mention I did stick the stickers onto this. This does have a little bit of articulation, that is 2 pivot points, which allows this arm to bring the wing down and out like so that you can move this around quite a bit while posing. Besides the big old crown on its head, the main event when it comes to this kit is the prototype Shekinah up on its right shoulder. Once again, not on its shoulder, attached to its back. Now, inside of the instructions, it does say that you should remove this in order to swing the whole apparatus forward, but I decided to just give it a go and see if it can be done without removing it, and it definitely can. It just swings out under the arm like so, just like we would have seen with the Shekinah. With the standard version of something like the Pale Rider Cavalry, we can open up this top section here. Inside of there we have a handle as well as a part that attaches into the forearm for a nice double hold, and even without detaching this, you can slide that into the hand, lock it onto the forearm just like so. This is a nice, solid double lock, or should I say with the arm around back, treble lock. I will mention because this is locked onto the forearm as well as being attached around to the little harness segment that attaches to its lower back, this can be a little bit restricted when it comes to posing, so there's very few posing options when this is all connected. We also do have a swing forward handle at the front that just swings out like so, and you can attach that into the second hand just like this, and once again you're attaching it down to forward position, so there is only really one pose you can pull off when this is attached, and hey, it looks good, so that's all that matters. And speaking of Shekinahs, there is a bit of a quick comparison with the full version of the Shekinah that is on the Pale Rider Cavalry. This one that we have on the White Rider is actually just a prototype. Now I will mention the color accuracy on the White Rider's Shekinah right here is actually extremely bad. We're meant to have a whole bunch of yellow, gray, all over the place. We don't have that, so it does look a little bit plain out of box without the stickers. However, the panel line detail molded into it, off the charts. So when it comes to the transformation into the big bow, it isn't a direct transformation. There is a little element of a parts formation here, so you do have to disassemble it to some degree. First off, you pull out the barrel just like so. These segments here come off the top and the bottom of the main body. Underneath both of those, you've got a gray segment that needs to be removed and then moved up a little bit, reattached. And then we have a sliding mechanism for the front that allows the entire front to slide out like so. We've got 2 little parts that need to be attached to be the, well, I guess the bowstring, which attach into those little panels we took off and extended a little while ago, which have now been slid onto the main body. So it's a simple parts formation, you know, and you need to add 2 extra parts. And on the whole, this looks phenomenal. Sure, the color separation is not the greatest, but this is one killer unique weapon. So when it comes to the one melee weapon we have in here, that is the Heat Rapier. So of course this is a prototype version of a rider suit, so that means the equipment in here is quite dated, so there is no beam weapon. When this is in use, it attaches into the hand in the usual kind of sandwich way. Pull off the back of the hand, attach this into the hand, and then attach the back onto the hand again. This is made out of just one piece, just in white plastic, so that does mean it isn't necessarily looking like what it would look like when you're slashing or stabbing in-game. There is no alternate blade here to look like it is giving off energy or yellow or anything like that, so it is a little bit basic. When it is not in use, you can pop this little adapter onto the side skirting armor, and the rapier just attaches onto that just like so. This holds in good and tight, and the design of this, just being in plain white, does suit being stored as opposed to being used. Also, we'll mention we do not have any alternate hands in here, just the standard holding type like this. So these don't look the greatest when nothing is equipped, but again, not the worst, but it would have been nice to see something like an expressive hand we would have seen with the Pale Rider Cavalry. So finally now onto the articulation, and when it actually comes to the general build strength of this kit, it is quite solid. It is the standard classic Gundam build, based on a whole bunch of polycap joints, but it does everything quite well. Now I'm going to pop off the equipment in order to take a look at this because that will get in the way, so off with that wing and off with the prototype Shekinah. The head here is the standard 2-ball polycap joint, so there's up and down, there's side to side and the tilt, so you get pretty much anything you want from this. The shoulder joints are aligned to move out to the back, which is quite unique and very dynamic, I might add. So that is the movement of the shoulder, and that is really, really good. We've also got that full 360-degree spin. There's the arm raised all the way up and moved all the way down. It is attached to the shoulder, so they move together. We've got that full 360 spin at the upper arm. We've got quite the decent elbow bend. Actually, that's great. And the usual wrist ball joint. In here we do have the classic double ball joint torso bend, so that means it needs to be somewhat separated out to get anything out of it. There's all the way to the front and all the way to the back, so not the worst but not the best. A bit of side to side too, but you know, beware it falls off. Skirting armor on a ball joint at the front. We've got a hinge up and down for the side skirt and a rotation all the way to the back and can swing all the way to the front. We've got a paralyzed non-moving butt flap round back. We've got that forward and back motion inside of the waist unit. As for the kicks, there it is all the way up to the front, all the way out to the back, a little blocked, and as for the splits, not a problem whatsoever. Full spin right here at the upper leg. There is the bend at the knee, so not too bad. Gets a little bit blocked with all those thrusters round back. So finally now getting the foot in the ground to test out that functional movement, and there it is all the way to the front without leaving the ground, so not great really. There it is all the way out to the back, so not too bad. And as for the side-to-side movement, we've got that to that, which is, that's pretty decent. So as for the articulation on the White Rider ride here, it's about average for an old school high grade. So that does mean it isn't over the top or crazy, but if you take the Mecha from Battle Operation, those are as clunky robots can get, so you're going to get pretty much anything or everything you would see in the game out of this kit, and maybe a little bit more. So anyway, that right there is it for the review, and this was a hard one to rank because of, well, the kind of mix between the fact that Bandai has done so much right with this kit and the fact that it is critically flawed in a whole lot of ways. The most critical one, of course, being the color accuracy. So in the end, I went with silver tier. A lot of aspects are bronze tier in here, but it just does so much right and so much nice that I had to bump it up a little bit. But honestly, at the end of the day, it really comes down to what you want from a kit, what your perspective is. If you want something that straight builds into a perfect kit with full color separation and plastic, you're not going to get that here. If you're looking for something that just has the basic well, it has way more than basic detail. The detail on here is great. But if you want something that just has detail, the silhouette, and the overall look of the White Rider, and you're going to paint and detail it yourself, then this is pretty much perfect. Sure, a lot of the tech in here is a little bit dated, but it holds up perfectly. It's got all the articulation you'd need for something that is out of Battle Operation, and honestly, I do love this kit. Even though I did straight build it and I do plan to just panel line up the rest of it and go with just that, I still think it looks like an incredible mecha. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time. As always, this video and none of these videos would be possible without each and every one of you watching these videos, including those of you who are supporting me on the channel memberships and over on Patreon, including VanFon, Org59061, Lawrence Seahack, Kill Me Inc., Joseph Kukluk, Joe, Gunpla UK Limited, Global Frequency Studios, Forsetti, Caleb Engelhart, and Craig Jerry. Have you been hanging out there through the entire review? Oh, man. I'll also mention this is my first time ever trying a red god hand during a build, and it's definitely a decent side cutter. There we go. Hope that was the only one.